Hello again. Essay here. Well, it's been not quite 3 days since old Trump had taken control of the White House. However, despite the mantra promises made, promises kept, one promise that he made but hasn't kept yet is, and no, I ain't talking about the J6ers who are still in jail. No, those stupid DC cops were slow walking that. So yeah, I'm not referring to that. No, no, no. No, I'm talking about the mess happening in Ukraine. And some of you right there saying, "Oh, please, no." Uh, Give me a chance. But yeah, old Trump, like I said he was ended in one day. Well, one day came and went, and it's still going on. Now, some of you are saying, "Hey, ending a war is not like taking out the trash. You know, it's complicated." And I'm thinking, "Hey, I hear you. It is." And of course, anyone who knows Trump knows you should never take him literally about anything, except maybe the number of people who show up at his rallies. But I'm not going to get into that either. No, I think that when Trump probably made that statement, I think that he didn't quite understand how really bad it has gotten. I ain't just talking about for the people in Ukraine. I'm talking about for everybody, because a whole bunch of Russian people have died too and been shot up, their homes been blown up, and etc. etc. And then, of course, the butcher's bill. And when I mean the butcher's bill, I'm talking about the cost of this war. I mean, ooh wee, because I remember back when George W. Started all those Middle East wars, and I remember how at the time people claimed that he spent like about $500 billion during those Middle East wars, and then Obama got in there and he found out that the number was actually over $1 trillion. Just saying. But in the case of ending this mess in Ukraine, yeah, to borrow an old phrase from Song of the South, uh, Trump just got his hands full of a damn tar baby, and I don't think he knows how to get it off of him. And I'm thinking, yep. I think Trump, when he made that statement, he was going to end the war in one day. I think he truly did not understand at all. But there are people out there who do understand quite a bit. Now, right now, I'm going to show you a snippet of a video by old Clayton Morris over there, Redacted, when he's talking to Scott Ritter. And of course, anyone knows who Scott Ritter. Not explain to you who he is, but yeah, let's just say this: former Marine Corps, smart dude. Sometimes he can be hyperbolic, but hey, at least his brain works. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Was scuttled by the United States and Boris Johnson. So, do you think we're going to have peace? Some pretty forceful words from President Trump today that this thing needs to end right now. What do you think?
Well, first of all, President Trump isn't going to be the one to dictate the terms of peace. The terms of peace will be dictated by Russia. To the victor go the spoils, and Russia is winning this conflict. Putin has wanted peace for some time now. He didn't want this war. Remember, Putin sought the implementation of the Minsk Accords in his meeting with Joe Biden back in June of 2021. Biden promised to implement, to put pressure on Ukraine to implement, to work with France and Germany. But Blinken never either got the order or obeyed the order. we now have Blinken confessing that in September of 2021 he was secretly providing weapons to Ukraine at a time when he was supposed to be pushing for implementation of the Minsk Accords. Even when Russia recognized that the Minsk agreements were never going to be fulfilled, and they put forward draft treaties. You remember December 17th, 2021, the draft treaties provided to NATO and the United States, seeking a new European security framework necessary to avoid war. This was ignored by the West. The special military operation was designed to get Ukraine to the negotiating table. It succeeded. There was the Istanbul communique ready to be turned into a treaty. Pressure from the West on Volodymyr Zelensky caused that to be scuttled. Putin this past June said he's ready to have peace, using the Istanbul communique as a framework, but it would have to be updated to take into account the present realities. Russia is ready for peace, but peace will only come when all of Russia's objectives are met. There cannot be peace if there isn't demilitarization. There cannot be peace if there isn't denazification. There cannot be peace unless Ukraine, by treaty, can never join NATO. And there cannot be peace unless Ukraine and the West recognize that Crimea and the 4 new territories of Novorossiya, Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Lugansk are today and forever will be part of Russia. Anything less than this is a Russian defeat. And Putin, of course, will not bring this conflict to an end on terms that can be misconstrued as a Russian defeat, or not misconstrued, construed as a Russian defeat. If this war is to be brought to an end, it has to be done in a way that doesn't allow it to, rear its ugly head up in the next, in a couple years. Anything that allows this conflict to end now without resolving the underlying issues as defined by Russia will inevitably lead to a recurrence of this conflict. And next time it could be an even bigger conflict. So if Trump wants peace, he's going to have to craft an agreement where Russia dictates the terms. Trump doesn't get to dictate. I'm sorry, Mr. Trump, if you want to do it the hard way, you're the one that's going to pay the price, not Russia.
We've heard reports over the past few days that there are weapons shipments to Ukraine that have been halted by President Trump, that these are being held at NATO bases and not entering Ukraine, that being reported by Ukrainian journalists. So if that is true, and it seems like it is, and then I guess you have European weapons maybe still flowing in, it's unclear. Maybe you have some clarity on that. How long can Ukraine go on if U.S. weapons are not allowed to flow into that country?
It's interesting. Trump, of course, put out the infamous tweet where he talked about we can do it the hard way, the sanctioning of Russia, etc. But at the same time he's doing that, if you remember, he gave a presentation after the election where he said that this war is because of NATO expansion into Ukraine. He recognizes the underlying cause of war. I need to point out that I was put on a Ukrainian death list because one of the crimes I was accused of was saying that the Ukrainian conflict is that Ukraine is a NATO proxy, that this is about NATO expansion. Well, we have a president of the United States that now clearly understands that to be the case. He reposted Jeffrey Sachs. Now, he did it in the context of Sachs' comments about Israel. But if you're going to repost Jeffrey Sachs, that implies that you have you're familiar with the totality of his arguments. And Jeffrey Sachs has been very clear about Russia's economy and how Russia has emerged from the post-conflict, the post-initiation of the special military operation with a stronger economy, one that is virtually sanctions-proof. And so his threats to impose sanctions also ring hollow. And we could go on and on. There's different, hints that Trump has put out there that he understands the reality of the situation. But there's a lot of political posturing taking place right now. He has given General Kellogg, Keith Kellogg, his special envoy for the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, 100 days to come up with something. What's interesting about that 100 days, if you play it out, it falls roughly on May 9th, which is Victory Day, the 80th anniversary of Victory Day. And if Putin, if Trump thinks that Putin is going to yield to American pressure on the 80th anniversary of the Russian victory over Nazi Germany, then Trump is truly an idiot. It's the worst possible time to put pressure on the Russians. But I think the opposite is the case. I think that Trump is looking for the possibility of a conclusion to this war by Victory Day. And one of the ways that can be done is by putting the pressure on Ukraine and on its European allies to embrace the reality of this war is over. Trump signed the executive order putting a freeze on U.S. foreign aid. And many people said, well, that automatically applies to Ukraine. It doesn't. The Ukrainian money has already been dispersed. There's material in the pipeline. And plus it's handled under different funding arrangements than the one that Trump froze. But if the reports are true, Trump has replaced the entire political leadership inside the Pentagon responsible for the arming of Ukraine. And when you eliminate the political civilian leadership, the military can do nothing. And so there is paralysis now. And as you indicated, if these reports are true, equipment is now stuck in bases and in waypoints inside Europe, not to go forward until a review is done. And a review may not be done for 100 days. At the same time, Trump has told Europe that you have to step up if you want America to play a role in the arming of Ukraine to stand up to Russia, then you need to chip in 5% GDP to your militaries. I don't think there's a nation that can meet that threshold, a significant nation. Germany can't meet it. France can't meet it. England can't meet it. Italy can't meet it. Nobody can meet it. And so it's a mission impossible for Europe to step up and replace the United States. And so I think you see the desperation. You saw Zelensky at Davos, the panic look. Reminds me of the movie Goodfellas near the end when Ray Liotta's character is looking in the sky, coked up big time. He's just snorting cocaine and he's all paranoid and everything. Zelensky is clearly under the influence of something. And I say that not as somebody who is seeking to score cheap points. He's clearly under the influence of something. And he's sniffing his nose, so I think we understand what the something is. And he is paranoid. He is ranting. He's speaking incoherently in a panicked way. He knows the end is near, that it's over for him. It's finished. He now has publicly acknowledged one of the conditions that Russia set forth in the Istanbul communique, which is the removal of Zelensky from power. That post-conflict Ukraine will not have Zelensky involved in politics. That Russia will dictate who the president will be. Russia has already named who they want to be replacing Zelensky. So this is the reality. And what we need now is for Trump, there has to be a mechanism for Trump to get to this reality in a way that doesn't damage him politically at home. This is why Trump is blustering, puffing out his chest, speaking big. And this is the challenge. But I think it's a challenge that can be met if and when he has his phone call with Vladimir Putin. I think Putin will make it quite clear that he wants peace, that he's moving towards peace. And I think he's more than happy to give President Trump credit for peace. But the peace will be on terms dictated by Russia, not imposed by the United States.
I'll get you out of here on this, Scott. Are you hopeful that we're approaching peace?
The United States, the problem is Donald Trump is not an expert on Russia. And he has surrounded himself with people who clearly aren't experts on Russia. There was some hope in the lead up, people might be able to indirectly influence Donald Trump. For instance, I had some success going through RFK Jr. and Donald Trump to get an op-ed, help motivate an op-ed piece being published in The Hill calling for an end to the war and prevention of nuclear war. There are people out there who are very smart on Russia who may be indirectly influencing Donald Trump, people like Douglas McGregor and others. And political reasons, Trump is suppressing their input to give Keith Kellogg credence. The problem is that means I'm guessing, and I don't like to guess when I'm trying to make. I like to act on hard factually based information. I am optimistic because I do believe that Donald Trump wants to bring it into this conflict in a way that achieves stability in Europe, which is one of the cornerstones of the foundation that he's trying to build for what he thinks is the proper environment to make America great again, to get out of these endless wars. So I think his heart is in the right place. It's a very complicated issue, though, and if he stumbles, then Russia's not going to yield. Russia's not going to bend. Russia has entered a war of attrition for a reason, not to allow Russians to die, only to give everything away back at the end. Russia did this because they want specific things achieved. And if Trump isn't willing to facilitate that, then Russia will see this war to the end. Russia's ready to go for another 2 or 3 years if necessary. And of course, if that's the case, then Trump would have to either put a lot of money in, Europe would end up. Neither of those are going to happen, so it would be an embarrassment for the United States, and that leads to counterpunching and deterioration of relations. That's not the direction we need to go. So I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, but I'm also wary. I wish Trump had better experts on Russia advising him.
Ditto. Scott Ritter, great to see you. I'm glad to hear there's some hope in your voice.
Okay, you saw that. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, some of you are saying, wow, I didn't know it was that bad. Oh, you haven't heard the half of it. Because, for example, as you saw in Clayton Morris's video, despite the propaganda coming out of the Western media, you know, where it be CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, the BBC, the damn, the Guardian, the Telegram, Le Mode, that the French publication, and damn Bild, the damn that German rag. Yeah, they've been lying nonstop about this war, saying, oh, the Ruskies are losing 1 million soldiers a day, and the Russian economy is in tatters. Tatters, I hear you. You know, to quote Ursula von der Leyen, that crazy lady that's trying to become the Ursula the First of the EU, but I'm not going to get into that at all. Yeah, and just the opposite's happening. The Ruskies are slowly but surely pulling a wind out of the jaws of defeat. And of course, some of you are saying, but hey, they've been telling us the Russians were losing. Yeah, well, maybe you should find a different source of information. Okay? Are we clear? Let's move on. And that also applies to old Trump, because there was a video of him in the White House behind the Resolute desk talking about how old Putin, he's hankering for a deal. He's itching for a deal because the war ain't turned out for him so well, and he's destroying Russia. And I'm thinking, oh, really? And where'd you get that information from? Let me guess. You watching some regular 6 o'clock news? CBS, NBC, ABC, perhaps? Reading some local newspapers, like maybe the Washington Post? Or perhaps watching some stuff on the internet, like maybe The Hill, or perhaps Politico? And in that case, at that point you realize, oh, that's where Trump's getting information from. Yeah, unreliable sources. And no, it's not a pun against old little bright Stelter, but let's not get in the corn the weeds, okay? And indeed, those two brothers at the Duran, they both said the same thing, because they got their ear to the wall with the people on their side, and they said that, yeah, the damn Ruskies, particularly was it Lavrov, that guy, their foreign minister, when they heard some of the stuff coming out of Trump's mouth, and more importantly, some of the stuff that he was posting on Truth Social about how the Ruskies were desperate for a deal because things were going so badly for them. Let's just say this, Lavrov, I would, even though there's no proof, I wouldn't be surprised he practically fell out of his chair, and wondering what was this guy Trump smoking. And of course, Lavrov said, "I'm just smoking tobacco. I ain't smoking no wacky tobacco." And of course, some of you know Lavrov knows that. Yeah, that guy smokes like a damn 68 Buick. But yeah, he knows something about smoking. But yeah, the Russians are probably sitting there scratching their heads saying, what the hell is this guy talking about? And indeed, wait for it, you ready? Those clowns over at Davos, the World Economic Forum, you said, oh, those guys are full of beans anyway. Yeah, I get it. But even those clowns, 2 years ago, 2023, predicted that the Russian economy was going to shrink by 6% just from the sanctions. And then what happened? Because Clayton Morris, he showed a clip, he showed something from their website, and he said that the very next year, 2024, they had to admit they were wrong, and the Russian economy actually grew by 3%. But then these people who couldn't let go of the narrative said that, oh, but the Russian economy is falling apart. And I'm thinking, oh, really? And where'd you get your information from? The backside of a cereal box, perhaps? Yeah. And then at this point, you're saying, well, who cares? As long as those people keep that garbage over there on their side of the street. Yeah, I get it. But wait for it. You ready? Who you think is paying for that damn mess? You think the damn now, of course, from the Ruski side, they're paying out of pocket. But for the Ukrainian side, you think those people in Ukraine are paying for that stuff? Because wait for it. You ready? The World Bank, way back years ago, said that Ukraine has always been the most corrupt country in all of Europe, even more corrupt than Russia. And I have to admit, to be more corrupt than Russia, man, that's like almost like a Olympic gold medal feat, okay? Yeah, especially everyone remembers Russia back during the Yeltsin times. Woo, man, that place was bad. But still, and at that point you say, oh. So who's paying for the Ukrainian side? Well, guess what? I tell you who isn't paying for it. The Ukrainians. And at that point you say, but I heard that the damn the damn EU snatched up like about $300 billion in Russian money that was left in some bank account. Yeah, they did. And it was something called Euroclear. But guess what? Officially, they haven't been allowed to touch that money. And you say, wait, what? Yeah. I talked to those Greek brothers at Duran. They made multiple videos about it, how these people, Ursula von der Leyen and her junta, kept trying to find some sneaky under table way of stealing that money to give to Ukraine. And each time they did, Euroclear, to their credit, saying, no, don't do it. And so far, they haven't stole the money. Well, at least not yet, but then, hey, tomorrow's another day. And therefore, where do you think the money's coming from? Yeah, good old Uncle Sam. And you say, what? Yeah. You mean you think that Uncle Sam just giving those people in Ukraine a bunch of old U.S. military surplus? Bunch of old broken down the Stryker vehicles and damn Abrams tanks with the damn armor and the targeting mechanism missing, and a bunch of old Hawk missiles from the 1960s. I mean, what museum did you raid those things from, huh? Yeah, they've been giving them money, lots of money, big old stacks of $100 bills. Yeah, you should give me some of the $100 bills, but I got bills to pay my own. But yeah. And how much? Well, that's just it. We don't know. Because every time they keep saying that they sent a new aid package to Ukraine, we know that old Sleepy Joe and his junta wasn't telling the truth. They say, oh, we gave them 50 billion here, 60 billion here, 30 billion here, 80 billion here. And that shit adds up. And wait, let's not even pretend. You think those Sleepy Joe and damn Victoria Nuland and oh my God, that damn clown at the State Department, I can't think of his name right now. You think those people were being above board and don't know exactly what was going on? Of course not, because those brothers at Duran.com, and I think you saw it in Clayton's video, these people knew the war was over back in April of last year. And you say, what? Yeah. I was surprised too. I said, wait, what do you mean the war was over last year? Why are they still fighting then? Because Zelensky is just basically is a national leader equivalent of Kermit the Frog. And what's Kermit the Frog? Hey, player. Kermit the Frog's a puppet. Except in the case of Zelensky, he doesn't have Frank Oz's arm, halfway up his ass, making him do the dance. No. Yeah. That damn war was over. Because according to multiple people, they said that Sleepy Joe, after he had his ice cream, was given a classified briefing in the White House with only a handful of people there, by a bunch of spooks, national intelligence, and they told them, yeah, this war is over. That there's the damn people in Ukraine, and by extension, the United States and its NATO allies lost the strategic initiative. And at that point, you say, why don't you simply wave a white flag and say, okay, we give up? Because these people are a bunch of knuckleheads and a bunch of stone cold fanatics. Because, wait for it, you ready? This happened before. Because I think I told this story once before. Well, Niall Ferguson, that guy who wrote that book, Civilization, yeah, in his book, he said the same thing happened back in the 1940s. He said those damn stupid goose-stepping Germans, he said they lost the strategic initiative against the Allies in 1943, and yet those clowns kept on fighting for 2 solid years, even though they had no hope of turning things around. And then now Ferguson said in that example, it was because the people in Berlin were a bunch of stone cold fanatics who didn't know when to quit. Now jump to the present day, you get what you get. Those idiot, stupid Biden and all those people, they didn't want to give up. They wanted to keep fighting, even though they had no hope of winning. And of course, those brothers Duran, they said the same thing. They said that, because I think if you were paying attention to this mess in Ukraine, you probably heard about those storm shadows and those damn attack of missiles, hitting Russian cities. Yeah. And remember how they made up that fairy tale about, oh, the dreaded North Koreans are in Ukraine? Are you kidding me? That was a totally made up story. But they made it up to give justification for launching American-made missiles into Russian cities. But wait for it, you ready? When Sleepy Joe was given that briefing back in April of last year, that was also the same time when he decided to attack Russian cities with American and Western-made missiles. And yet, they didn't announce it until after Trump won the election in November. And at that point, you say, why do you do something like that? Why do you think? Because since old Sleepy Joe realized they had lost the race, they wanted to make situation as bad as possible for Trump. And you say, oh, yeah. They were hoping that by firing American missiles into a Russian city, the Russians get hopping mad and drop a couple of A-bombs right in the downtown New York and Chicago. Except it didn't happen. And at that point, the damn people, these kooks in the Biden White House, they said, "Oh, succotash." Yeah, I guess they realized the Russians are not as crazy as they are. And of course, as we now know, as you saw in Clayton's video, Trump is walking to this house party with lint in both pockets. He got no socks, no shoes. The guy's got the guy's got no clue about what to do. And you know what? Mm-hmm. Now, of course, some of you saying, "Oh, but Trump's a wheeler dealer. He can think of something." Yeah, he's a several $billion late, and he's several options short. Because if you saw Trump's what was it, True Social post? I mean, I don't think they call them tweets. I don't know what they call them. Yeah, he said he was supposedly threatening Putin, talking about we can do it this easy way, we can do it the hard way. I think, who you think you are, fucking James Cagney and in some damn gangster film from the 30s? Really, dude? I mean, you got no options. You got no options. Because you can't put any more sanctions on the damn Ruskies. I mean, short of dropping a bunch of B-61s on Russian cities, the damn Biden administration have done everything to the people in Moscow. And as far as weapons are concerned, short of giving the damn people in Ukraine nukes, you pretty much give them anything that they could possibly want. Okay, they didn't give them any damn stealth planes, but what expect? Those people are so crooked over there in Ukraine that if they actually gave those clowns a bunch of like F-35s, those fools would turn around and sell them on the black market. And you say, what? Yeah, they would. Those people are that crooked. I mean, these people have been, let's not even pretend. Every time when the damn people give stupid Zelensky a so-called aid package, that fool skims a couple of billion off the top for himself. And I mean for himself. Not for his wife, not for his agent, definitely not for the people in his cabinet, for himself. Why do you think people keep talking about when this Ukraine mess finally winds down, he's going to end up on some damn private island in the middle of the Pacific? Yeah. How do you think he's going to afford a private island for the money he skimmed from all that damn aid packages? That's how. That's no joke. And in the meantime, Trump, he's got no options. I mean, he has no thing in his hand. I mean, Putin's over there with a damn a straight flush, and Trump is sitting there with a couple of deuces and I think a couple of jokers in his hand. That's it. So yeah, Trump's got a very, very weak hand. So what's Trump going to do? Hell, I don't know. Now, of course, some of you are saying maybe he can do what Kissinger did back in '73 with the damn North Vietnamese, because the United States didn't have a pretty good hand either. And I'm thinking, yeah. But you got to remember, back in Vietnam, we still had a few options. And indeed, everyone who's my age remembers the Christmas bombing in 1972. Because I remember seeing it on the TV when I was a little kid, and I was thinking, who bombs people on Christmas Day? I mean, what the hell? Yeah. Talking about those ain't jingle bells you hearing over your house. Those are B-52s, and that's not a lump of coal coming on your chimney. That's a damn 500-pound unguided bomb. Yeah. But of course, no one's talking about staging some kind of bombing raid on Moscow. I mean, that would be just nuts, even for Trump. Okay? So, even Trump doesn't have that option. But hey, in the case what happened back in 72, 73, during the Paris Peace Accords, that did get the people's in Hanoi's attention, and eventually they did make a peace treaty. And of course, as we all know, the peace treaty didn't last because 2 years later, the damn North Vietnamese army was walking around the streets of Saigon because they won the war. But in the case what's going on right now in Ukraine, yeah, Trump, he's got a really shitty hand. And there's nothing he can do to threaten the people in Moscow. He's got nothing. I mean, and he's got no weapons to give to Zelensky unless he's actually going to give those clowns nukes. And I have to admit, Trump, he may be a lot of things, but he ain't foaming at the mouth nuts. No way. I mean, could you imagine if Trump gave Zelensky like maybe 10 or 20 B-61s, tactical nukes? Those things be on the fucking black market for the wind blows. And then you have one of those B-61s in the hands of fucking ISIS, and then that damn bomb would end up coming across the southern border and end up being detonated in damn Denver. Like that damn old, that movie Broken Arrow, which I'm not going to get into. Yeah. So, nope. That ain't happening either. So, what option does Trump have? He may just have to pull what we did in Afghanistan. Just, fold our tent and take our marbles and go home. And give Zelensky the big kiss off. Say, so long, brother, have a nice life, and give Vlad our regards when you see him. And then we just sneak out, and then we just, exit stage left out of there. And I'm thinking, you know what? I think that may be Trump's only option. Yep. And indeed, if you've been paying attention to regular TV news, Trump announced I think it was like a 90-day moratorium on various weapon shipments around the world. Now, of course, some of you have been hearing that, but that didn't apply to Ukraine. You sure about that? Because if you pay attention to Clayton's video, Scott Ritter said that did apply to Ukraine, and that Trump made sure that those weapon packages that were in the pipeline ain't going any further because he tracked down the various civilian contractors whose job was to manage that pipeline, and he fired all of them. Dismissed. So now all those damn weapons and God knows how much money is stuck in transit. It's not going anywhere. And I'm thinking, well, at least Trump did something. But yeah. What's going to happen at the end of 90 days, I have no idea. And you know what? I'm seriously concerned that Trump really doesn't know either. I mean, talking about running a foreign policy by the seat of your pants. Yeah. Well, he's the president now. He's in charge. And if he doesn't have a clue what he's going to do now, hopefully he'll get a clue before that 90 days is up. Well, that's all I got to say about this Ukraine mess coming to an end, or I should say should come to an end. And that's my opinion.